So I was on TikTok the other day scrolling through, and a video really caught my attention. It was two wealthy individuals talking about marriage, kids, and getting rich. And then I decided to go into the comments where all the best stuff happens. So I go into the comments, and of course, they got an earful. They're like, "Rich? We're not trying to get rich there, buddy. You guys are out of touch. We are trying to survive. We can't afford kids. Most of us are trying to move out of our parents' basement, let alone have kids or get rich." Hi, I'm Tracy from the Money Boss Show, here to help you step into your personal power, make more money, build your dream life. So, as you can tell, this is not my normal background. I am here on my ranch. I'm taking some holidays, and I wasn't going to do a video today, but I just got so fired up by that TikTok video, and it really ticked me off. And I try and be calm, cool, and collected on my channel, professional, informative, but sometimes getting good and mad is where the best change starts. So why did I get so mad? This wasn't the first video on TikTok where I went into the comments and people were talking about having kids and that they couldn't afford it. They're trying to make ends meet, so why would they bring in a kid they can't afford? And it got me so mad because since when did children become a luxury item? It was like they were talking about buying a Louis Vuitton bag or like a premium item or a sports car. The sad truth of the world we live in is children, it appears, have become luxury items. And more than ever, people are opting out. They're working really hard to make it by. Everybody needs two wages. People are stressed, tired, and broke. And they're asking themselves, why do we want kids? More energy and more money. And most people are like, well, wait a minute. I'm trying not to sink further into debt. So why am I having kids? So why did that make me mad? That's a very logical stance, very smart. But it made me mad because we do not get financial education. And I have tiptoed around it in previous videos. But the truth is, we are taught to be rule obeyers. We go to a school system that is designed to make us obedient employees, raise our hand, clock in, clock out, do as we're told, sit inside a ticky-tacky box of everything they want you to be. Not question, not go outside of the box, not think on your own, not learn about money. Think of it this way. What are three most important things in life? Whether or not we want to admit it. What is it? Health, love, and money. They teach us very little about health. They teach us next to nothing about relationships and literally nothing about money. But yes, please teach us history from like 3,000 years ago. That's helpful. Anyways, I digress. It really made me mad because money is such an important part of the world we live in. It is not everything, but it's right up there with oxygen, isn't it? I love that saying. And whether or not we like it, want to accept it, it is true. We can't pay our bills on love and gratitude, so we need to make money. The more money we have, the more comfortable we are, the more options we have, the more possibilities we have. And guess what? You can afford to have children. That luxury item that seems to be less and less common nowadays. And what kind of society are we where we are so tight on our expenses and people are so far in debt that people are deciding not to have children? And I don't care whether people have children or not. I actually don't have kids, but it seems a little bit messed up. And where I really want to go is we have not been taught money purposely, because if you're not taught, you cannot get financially powerful, and money gives you power and possibility. Money makes you question the system. Money gives you freedom to work outside of the system. And then if you are thinking on your own and you have money to support yourself and you're mentally and financially and physically powerful, you'll start to question the system. And who would want that, right? So what makes me mad is they teach algebra. They teach, goodness, whatever subject they taught us in elementary school and high school. I don't know about you, but I didn't use any of that. And sure, I didn't go into the medical profession where I needed physics and chemistry. But let me tell you, I'm pretty sure the computer does all that work for them now anyways. I digress. I am so incredibly upset, mad, annoyed, charged up, fired up, because we have the power to be a money boss. And that is why I started this channel. I wasn't taught how to budget in school. I didn't know none of that. But for some reason, after getting into debt and out of debt a few times, I got good and mad and said, enough of this baloney. I don't want to be in debt. So I got a budget and started on my road to becoming a money boss. So when I'm sitting going through TikTok, listening to all these young ladies that are horrified, disgusted, not interested, or on the flip side, would really love to live comfortably and not be in stress and would love to have children, it just breaks my heart that we are in a world where people are put in a position to struggle, to be average. And I would say average isn't even averaging anymore. But it makes me mad that people are having to decide whether to eat or to do this, let alone doing fun stuff or raising kids. So I started the channel Money Boss because I knew there was so much information missing. And I said, one day when I have built a business, become financially successful, I'm going to build a channel to pull all this information together. And while there is so much to making money, at the very core of it, it very much gets complicated. And you'll go to a channel about your side hustle, about manifesting, about the law of assumption. And what I've noticed when you tune stuff out and focus on the basics, the fundamentals in life, and tune out and just shut the distractions off and focus, there are very few tried, tested, and true fundamentals to being healthy, to being happy, to having successful relationships. Those aren't this channel, but here, to being a money boss, to being smart with your money, pardon me, and starting to build your path to wealth and prosperity. You know, I know being a millionaire and a billionaire is everybody's dream, or not. There's some people that don't care about money. But I think being able to pay the bills and have a little bit extra is probably on everybody's radar of expectation for a normal life. I would say so. So to me, let's tune out all the law of attraction, the law of assumption, your side hustle, Bitcoin, all of these things they want to distract you with. Focus on one thing. I've said this expression before. He who catches many rabbits catches none. Focus. So if you want the fundamentals to being a money boss, which to me is being in charge of your money and not a slave to it, if you want the fundamentals of building wealth, it starts with the fundamentals. Tune out everything, and I'm going to give you a 5-step plan to becoming a money boss, building your foundation, and starting to work towards wealth. And while it is not super sexy and distracting and fun, the thing is, the truth and the core of what will make you successful in life is usually never sexy or fun. It becomes sexy and fun once you realize it's the path to getting what you want. But the way to be a money boss and start working towards wealth starts with the basics. And what are the basics? Well, you're probably going, what are the basics, Tracy? We didn't learn that. Here it is. Step number 1, create a budget. Step number 2, build a very small starter emergency fund of $1,000 to $2,000. Pick $1,500. Number 3, pay all your debt off except for your mortgage. 4, then you start to build your rainy day fund of 3 to 6 months of your personal expenses. So if your life costs you $5,000 a month, $15,000 to $30,000. And I know most of you are going, Tracy, I have $30 in my account, but we'll talk about that. This is the step to take. And then from there, step number 5 is to start becoming the financial director of your life. Start your MBA in money. And why I leave that till number 5 is, again, focus. We don't want to be distracted. I have read so many amazing, beautiful books that have changed my life. But to be honest, a lot of the books that I read, at the time I read them, weren't really the next thing that I needed to focus on. And I spent a lot of time consuming great information at the wrong time. It didn't help me. And not only didn't it help me, it caused me to lose focus on where I should have been at that moment. And in this world, it is so next to impossible to be uber focused. And that's the level of success and hunger you need to start to make traction. So let's review that again. Number 1, budget. Number 2, start your small emergency fund of $1,500. 3, pay off all debt except for your mortgage. 4, start your larger emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of your monthly bills. And then 5, you're going to start your MBA in, and I don't mean MBA from the university. No, don't waste your time or your money. You're going to start reading some of the core essential financial books. The Wealthy Barber, that teaches you to put 10% of your income away before you start paying any of your expenses. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that starts to help you think about the employee mindset we've been conditioned to, the rat race that we get trapped in, versus the high income earner, the rich dad that owns his business, the employee versus the entrepreneur. Those 2 books are the best starting place to start thinking correctly when it comes to money. There are so many good ones, but those would be the first 2. So you're going to go, Tracy, I can't afford to do XYZ. I can't afford to put my monthly expenses away. Here's the problem. Well over 50% of the world's population don't have a budget. So they don't have a hot clue how much they really end up spending. And guess what? How many people are living in credit card debt because they don't know, right? If you don't know how much you have to spend and you're tap, it is very easy to go over your monthly earnings and start sinking yourself in debt. And the problem is we very often and very quickly sink ourselves into debt. And the further we go, the harder it is to get out. So if you want to be a money boss, don't even think about starting your own company right now. That's where we go in step number 6. We start thinking about how to leverage our time to make more money, how to get out of the rat race, or how to start a side hustle. But the very core, unsexy, sexy part of the foundation of wealth and getting rich is the bare bones. And I would love to do a million videos on all these other things, and I will. But the core of it is, to be a money boss, you need to be able to manage your money. You need to know what is coming in and what is going out and adjust accordingly. How do you find $1,500 if you don't have $1,500? Let's say your expenses are in there, you know your income, and hopefully there's money at the end. You can put that into savings, or you start paying debt with that. But how do you start finding money if you don't have money and you want to build your emergency fund? Well, Craigslist, Virage. Look around your house. Are there things that you have not used for a long time that you could easily sell and start to make money on? That's a great way. Get a part-time job. Start a side hustle. Do some custom work. Work some overtime. Work more hours. Work yourself like crazy to get out of debt, like your life depends on it, because it truly does. We're not taught to budget. And then by the time we realize that we should be controlling our money and debt is controlling us. And when we get to a point in society where people are choosing not to have kids because they can't afford it, and legit, wages aren't going up for most people and expenses are going up. But all of that aside, if a majority of the population have not been taught how to budget, chances are they're overspending, getting themselves in debt. So if we think about it, and we're an individual that wants to have it all, we need to start with the fundamentals and have a budget to know how much we have coming in, how much we have going out, and start to take control of it and start putting savings aside so that we're now a saver and not a spender. And then that's where you start to build up and take control of your money so that you can do the next step. Okay, I'm a money boss of my employee wage. How are we going to start to make more money? So the foundations of wealth, getting rich, of being a money boss, well, they're not too sexy. They are the most sexy thing you can absolutely do with your life. And before you focus on one more course on how to do Bitcoin or whatever else is on your brain, I would say start with your budget. Build your emergency fund, pay off all debt except for your house. Put aside 3 to 6 months of your monthly living expense. And then 5, you're going to start your education in money. I hope this helps. Honestly, affording to live shouldn't be a luxury. Children shouldn't be a luxury. Again, I don't care if people want kids or not, but the fact that we haven't been taught how to set ourselves up financially so that we can have the best of living, of family, of fun, of dreams, really makes me mad and motivates me to create Money Boss videos. So if you want to know exactly where to start, that's where to start. I got good and mad after getting into debt again, having to figure out how to pay it off, and I said no more. Started my budget, and I started my journey to being a money boss. Started saving, started a business, started making more money, started investing. I own hundreds and hundreds of acres of land and animals and businesses, and I don't say that to brag, but I say it because you get to that stuff by being in charge of your money. Because think of the lottery winners. How many lottery winners win and within a year they've lost it all and are actually in a worse spot than they were before? So anyways, I hope this has been helpful. I am on holidays. I didn't want to skip this video. The flies are crazy here. It is hot in July. We get a lot of flies and mosquitoes in Manitoba, Canada. I hope this has been helpful. I didn't want to skip a week. And truly, if you want to be a money boss, this is it. See you on the next video. Bye, guys.